I made this intro and I added a promo and a photo of our goddess Jen Eason, our true white light warrior that we are going to be interviewing today. And I will just add her in just a moment. I'm just going to open this on Station Head as well so that we can have a recording. All right, we are on air. Woohoo! This is so awesome. All right, so I am also welcoming Molly Moose, and she is going to have a questionnaire with Jen Eason. So I'm going to add Jen to the stream. Hi, Jen.
Hello, how are you?
I am amazing. I'm just like so honored to even be talking to you. This is awesome. This is great.
Thank you. This is my honor. Thank you for being patient with me. You know, as I was just missing a few things. It was just things were falling off a plate. And thank you for your patience and forgiveness.
Absolutely. Like, there's no need to apologize at all. We, the Molly Moose clan over here, we say no to sorries. We don't say sorry.
Gotcha.
So life is life. Stuff happens, like
yeah.
Things, schedules, they're hard to put together, especially across the country. So thank you so much for even coordinating today. This is so cool.
Yes, I'm glad we could do it and get it all scheduled.
Yeah, me too. So I'm gonna invite Molly Moose. I think I can add her like this.
Wow. Hey there, Molly.
Oh wait, no, just kidding. That's her that is her comment.
Hi there. Hey, Girl Code is here. Wow. Awesome.
Oh, Girl Code's here. Hi. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to send her a Gmail link in order to invite her. But while that happens, we have a questionnaire. I just want to ask if you guys could see me because I'm on a different screen. So I really would like to learn about your background as a retired nurse.
Okay, sure. Well, I was kind of forced to retire in a way. It was a very, I would say, motivated retirement based on mandates. So I've been a nurse for over 30 years and I love the profession. I don't love what happened to the profession. So I watched things change, and I've been a nurse even longer, I realized, because I only became interested because my grandmother had been injured with actually the polio jab or sugar cube, whatever you want to call it.
Whoa.
Yeah. So growing up with a grandmother who lost her health and vibrancy as a result of, she thought she was doing the right thing. A lot of women in her peer group, they were all getting this. So there was a big push to get this. You can imagine, similar to what we saw in 2020, a big push. So she took it, and then she was forever changed. So I used to help take care of her as a little girl. She was the grandmother that some grandmothers have, like, the fancy little thing on their dresser with perfumes and everything.
Yes.
Well, instead of that, imagine she has pill bottles, amber pill bottles, where you would see perfumes.
Oh, okay.
When I say tons of pill bottles. So that's what it was normalized that she was on so many different medicines. They were testing medicines, on her. And I would know how to go and retrieve if she would say, go get my Darvon. I mean, I still remember that was one of her pain pills, I think. Go get my Darvon. And I was like this kid who was going up to, like I said, she kept it where you would see women that had perfumes and all the women things, you know, on their dresser. Hers is full of pill bottles, and I would have to look at the pill bottles and read them as a kid and bring them back downstairs to her, you know.
Oh my
So
gosh.
isn't that
Did you
crazy?
know what that Arvon consisted of?
No, I just knew the names of the things she always mentioned. I knew that it helped her with pain. And then
Mhm.
some of her other things, I would hear her talking about other medicines that then later, when I became a nurse, I was like, oh, that's what my grandmother was on.
Whoa.
Yeah, she was on
And
a
finding
lot of like steroids and stuff, lots of
okay.
steroids.
So you were educated before you even entered.
Yeah, it was like a little pre-education, and she would always have like slow healing wounds, like on her legs and stuff, her feet, because she ended up developing diabetes because
Oh,
of all the medicine she was taking caused her to have diabetes. So, you know,
wow.
they have the slow healing, and I would help if she maybe had a little like bump or something, it would turn into a raging wound. So I used to do wound care on her. So I knew how to put different bandages and different things on her, you know, her skin and just take care of her skin because she had psoriasis. And so I'm the kid putting ointment, you know, part in her hair, putting ointment in her hair.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's my childhood, a little bit of it. So it's no wonder I wanted to become a nurse, right?
Yeah.
Why not get paid for it, right? You're going to do it.
So, in the nursing field, what did you like learn that made you retract from it?
Well, I learned that it wasn't the profession that I had gone into. So that was a shocking thing. I would say that my nursing school, they still promoted things that I thought took care of the whole person, like a wellness and preventative health. They had a focus on us teaching things like that. But over the course of the years since I had graduated nursing school, I watched the profession change drastically. So that was something that woke me up. It was becoming more of a business, just real business oriented, bottom line. And I just saw,
Transactional.
you know, how they were nickel and diming people. Every time you went into the supply room, you had to scan that you were getting a whatever little thing. Everything was being charged. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, just this business type of idea that you got that they cared more about, you know, making money. And I didn't like
Right.
that. Yeah.
My grandfather actually, he had a lot of health and wellness centers that supplied all natural um,
Ooh.
uh, substances like
Uh-huh.
that were very popular during the 70s and stuff like that.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and he had a commune out in Snowflake.
Wow.
And my uncle was born in a tent.
Oh, you have some stories now. That's interesting.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I grew up in more of the holistic
Mhm.
way, and I'm super curious on what it was like growing up in um in the hospitals and stuff like that.
It was I feel like interesting like what you're sharing. I'm so glad you shared that because my grandfather was a person that more so believed in naturopathic ways of healing and just preventing illness and just being very more organic.
Yeah.
So that's how I connected to a book called Back to Eden was through my grandfather. So he carried that book like a Bible all the time. So if you had a sniffle or anything, he was ready to make you a tea with onions and lemon and you know all that stuff, honey. And that was his way of doing things. So then to have that type of education, because he was really educating me on this stuff as a little girl, and then having a grandmother who took a jab,
Uh-huh.
got the actual disease that the jab was supposed to protect her from,
Yep.
and now she's become a professional patient. In other words, like, her whole life was centered around going to hospitals, going to doctors. She
Oh,
would get the top doctors. Oh, I went to University of Pennsylvania. Oh, I'm going to this, endocrinologist. And this. So she was one of these people that always went to doctors, and she was on, like I said, so many pharmaceuticals. And she trusted, even with being injured, she still trusted the system to then help her get better, because as they injured her, they had a solution. Hey, we've got this new it's like still in development. We can give you interferon and all these things. They were doing all this experimental stuff now on her. So it's amazing that she was still trusting the system.
wow.
So I watched her go through that. And then the dichotomy of having a grandfather who believes in holistic ways. Like, that's crazy. Like, when I think about it.
So you're raised in between the paradoxes.
Good way to put it. I never realized it until, like, you mentioned your family, how they were more organic. I would not have known about that type of stuff if it weren't for my grandfather.
Wow.
So yeah, it was like, definitely, how did they even get together as a couple? Because very, very different people. But
Right.
yeah, very loving and like great marriage. She was a little bit of a, matriarch, she was the tough one, but it was a balance, like true balance, because he was more like, he was the kind of grandfather that would get the kids around a circle, and we're like, we got our knees, legs crossed, and we're meditating in a circle with our grandfather. And,
Oh,
he was
that's
always
sweet.
barefoot. And my grandmother was like, she would be mad at him, like, don't do that stuff with the kids. Do not get them into that meditation stuff. So it was really funny. She was a Baptist.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, even though my grandfather is holistic and everything like that, he also received the jab
Oh, really?
during this time, which was extremely shocking
Yeah.
for our family, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
but Molly Moose entered the chat, so I'm gonna add her
Oh,
to the stream.
nice.
Hi,
Perfect.
Molly.
Hey, Molly, how are you?
Okay, leave it to me. I can't figure technology out ever.
That's okay. That looks beautiful. Your background of fire, little coziness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
You're making me really feel like we're in autumn already, right?
it's surprisingly cold in northern Arizona.
Oh, really? Okay. That's nice
Yeah,
though, to have a fire. Oh,
yes. Glad you're enjoying it.
very much
So,
so.
I just asked Jen Eason about her nursing background, and we were getting into that. But we're kind of moving on from the subject. So I wanted to promo your company called Financial Literacy. Can you explain what that means?
Well, I recently, because of my transitioning out of nursing for the reasons of not wanting to comply with the mandates that now they've lifted, so I'm really glad I didn't. But I did lose out, on income and all kinds of things. So I found a way to build myself back up through having my own business, home-based business. So what I did was I got licensed in the financial services industry, and I am currently in training, like, really getting just trained in all of this. It's with an amazing company. And so what I do is, the main thing is, I just look for people who are looking for education, mainly because finances, money, You know how it is. When people bring up the subject of money, it brings up emotions, right? Doesn't it? It's like
Truth.
they're not usually good emotions either. So,
No.
I realized that was always a subject that even in my family, people could get into arguments over money and offended, or you have somebody who, I don't know, maybe does something unwise. Maybe they come into some money, a little bit of money, a little windfall, and they might not do wise things with it, So you watch over the course of time how people, just how they behave around money.
Brings
So
out who you really are, doesn't it?
it does, whether you have little or a lot, it brings out more of who you are. So realizing that money is such a touchy subject, I wanted to finally just jump right head first into the industry of understanding money. So really what I do is more education than anything else, because that's simply what we hadn't received in our, a lot of our education. We
Definitely.
didn't learn in school how to, how they always say, did you learn how to balance a checkbook or manage your banking business in school? I mean,
Right.
did
Not
you?
properly.
Okay. Some
I
did get
actually
a little
did.
bit of that. Did you? You got
Yes. I
you
was
did?
blessed to take an online course on
Oh,
financial advice,
yep.
and they gave us a free Dave Ramsey full course.
There you are. That's perfect.
Woke
See,
me up.
that's one of those rare things, like like you said, you recognize it was a blessing. But
Yes.
many people don't get that. But now that we have the internet and information is out here, it is a little easier to bump into information. But before, like when I was growing up and everything, it wasn't readily available. And still, the issue of money is just so emotional, So
Definitely.
I look forward actually to the day that many people can just start having the hard conversations that we never, we didn't want to have because they were, triggering of emotions and shame, because money brings shame feelings and stuff.
Yes.
But I want us to get to a place, especially like we are a family here, we're building a community. I don't want us to have those issues with, like, we don't want to stay in those areas how we used to be,
Yeah.
before our eyes were open to things. But the money subject is something that even a lot of people who love President Trump, he's a wealthy man, right? And he made his money in business. And it's very impressive. Like, he has even a story about his life in business and how he built his empire, you could say,
Yeah.
It's
kingdom,
why
if
he
one should
couldn't
call
be
it.
bought.
You say what
Sorry.
now?
It's why he couldn't be bought.
There you are. Yes, exactly. He did it in a way that we watched it. I remember in the 80s, the Donald, remember? And now to see what he has built, because one day I went on his site that he has all his properties. If you've never done that, let me tell you, it's a treat just to look at the rooms, like how it's all appointed, at the Trump properties. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this is
It's really
amazing.
fascinating.
And I've been in one of his hotels. I never stayed in one, but I was, in the lobby area of the hotel, and it's just lovely.
Yeah.
So I think of him as a person who definitely understands money, right? And understands that it is a tool. It is, simply a tool. You can do good or bad with it, but if it's a tool, why not learn how to use the tool? And
Correct.
you know what I mean? So it's kind of and I recall his show, The Apprentice. What was the theme song? It was the money, money, money. Remember that song?
Money,
Money,
money, money.
right? So I think anyone who has more of the Make America Great vibration, like you caught on and you want to do something to make this country great, it's like the first thing would be is just to get a financial education. And because we need good people to have resources to do good, right?
Yes. Yeah,
turn
I pray
this
for
around.
financial freedom every day for
Yes,
humanity, because nobody should be struggling. Everybody should be thriving and doing everything that
yes,
they love. And
yep.
I am fortunate to have such an amazing support system to where I can do those things. And I wish everybody had these opportunities, which
Yeah,
they do. You just have to, like you said, be aware of it. Then
yes,
it creates the energy stream of it to flow once you
yes,
understand
that's right.
and focus.
There you are. And for you to know this and be young, you have like leaps and like ahead of people in your age range, because it's easy to buy into what the narratives they want you to do certain things. Oh, you're supposed to be this and this and this. But to be wise is
Yeah.
something that, they don't really promote that so much,
Thank
and
you.
you're a wise young woman, and it's amazing to see, because you're just what we need to see hope for
Yes.
future, and
I
you
agree.
represent that. You represent it. I could tell, like, it's obvious. Like, as soon as I saw you, I could pick it up.
Thank you so much. I
You're welcome.
appreciate every word. Seriously.
You're
um,
welcome. It's true.
yes, this is so awesome. All right, so
Yeah.
I'm going to move on to the next question.
Okay.
Um, so I wanted to talk about your tabernacle.
Oh, yeah.
So what, like, what? Because I know it's a ritual, right?
Yeah, it's part of a high holy day. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So what is it? Is that a religion? I want to talk more on how a tabernacle works and what it's used for.
Sure, sure. Well, it's based on the high holy days. So I grew up with a Jewish stepmother, and so I was introduced to Judaism, and I celebrated both holidays. So I would, spend time with because my parents were divorced, so I would spend time, and if it hit around a holiday, then I received education. I went to the synagogue with her, and she was teaching me Hebrew and all kinds of things. So it was just part of growing up to be aligned with those holidays. I didn't always observe them, because what I do, I don't say so much celebrating as I observe it. So this year I felt like I definitely was led to observe this year for the fall feast. And they're called feasts, which I love that, of course. And so this one, Feast of Tabernacles, happened in the beginning. It stands for the harvest. You can't always find people that will agree on the dates. That's the funny thing. So you kind of have to be led to when you're going to observe. It just doesn't seem like everybody is on the same page with when it starts. Okay. So
Okay.
that's one of the things, just to, if you ever wanted to look into it, you might see, oh, they said it started on this date, but then this site said this. So I chose the October 11th. So it's a 7-day, observance. And what it is it represents the Israelites and their, trek through the wilderness. So
Okay.
they built a temporary shelter. So that's what the tabernacle is a little booth. They call it a booth or a sukkot or a tabernacle, which just means a tiny shelter. So I had not built one. I initially said I had never built a tabernacle, but I had to retract that, because guess what?
You have?
You have too. I'm going to ask you something.
Oh my gosh. I build forts all the time.
There you are. Every child, I didn't realize this, right? Because I put, oh, my first time ever building a tabernacle. And then one day later, I said, hold it. All children build tabernacles. So
Mhm.
look at that. Like, we all build tabernacles. So that's basically what I'm learning is just, when you hear the child's heart and just to tap into that imaginative heart of a child, the beauty and the pure, just the joy of children, and it's so much is really in that you can unpack, and why we are called to be more like have a child's heart in spite of
innocent.
the darkness in our society, but to just still be willing to take a chance on whatever humanity, right? To want to trust people and to open up and still be human, So, we have, like, in fact, when I thought about, children naturally build tabernacles. And I said, it makes sense now. When I was little, same, story, my grandmother, who, even though she was ill, she would have moments when she wasn't always in a wheelchair or needed a cane. She could kind of rally back and kind of walk around. And so it was up and down. But one thing she did is she allowed me to build forts all over her living room. Like whenever I wanted to do it, it was like she had sheets that were just for me to build, and she would just let me do it and be creative. And I knew that before her stories, as she called them, came on, that means my forts had to come down before her story. Because at that time, people didn't have TVs everywhere and you couldn't watch things on your phone. It was one designated television in the living room. And, that was the television everybody had to watch. So it was like, okay, my grandmom's stories are about to come on. I better start taking my forts down.
What kind of stories was she into?
She watched, I remember one was like As the World Turns. And I used to hate those things. I would hear her like, talking about this stuff, like maybe with friends on the phone. And I would overhear the shows. And I just couldn't understand, like, why does she like these shows? They're terrible.
The soap opera. The soap operas.
Yeah.
Jen and I are from the same generation. As the world turns, yes.
As the World Turns. That was one of her favorites. And The Edge of Night, I remember that was another one. And she even watched something called Dark Shadows, and it was about vampires, I think, like in some kind of spooky castle. And like I was just like amazed at some of the things she watched. But yeah, we build tabernacles as children. Outside, my friends and I would take a refrigerator box if somebody got a new refrigerator in the neighborhood. And, that became our fort that we would build on. And so that's interesting that I happen to realize that children do this naturally. So what is that all about,
Can I add something? So biblically, the children of Israel, the 12 tribes of Egypt, would build the tabernacle, and the pattern that the tabernacle was made of was very specific, given in the beginning of the Bible, in the law of the Bible. And apparently God appeared and channeled through what he wanted the tabernacle pattern made out of. And it actually can go to the T of our body and how the sacrifice happens with the digestion in the court roundabout, and then a veil, a blue, purple, and scarlet veil, and the high priest would anoint himself to quicken himself once he got under the covering of the holy place and the most holy place. And the most holy place was where the cloud that they believed was the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, would reside between Michael and Gabriel, the messenger and the sender, and the Ark of the Covenant, and Aaron's rod that budded, which correlates to our pineal gland. And so it just biblically, just to put something out there to think about.
Yes, thank you so much, Molly.
Yes, I know girl code. You're speaking her language, right, girl code? Love that.
Well, I found your tabernacle, so I wanted to share it on the screen if that was okay.
No, yeah. It's a funny story about like doing it. Well, I thought for the first time, but doing it this way, it's pretty. It's just been funny. I'm going to keep it up, by the way. And it was just interesting doing this. I didn't have a pattern, Molly. I didn't have one. I went off of just leading when I was doing it. I just said, I'm just going to make it this way. I took one down because I did like a tester and I realized, I don't like that one. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to build it to look like a nest. So I did it more like a little tent, but I just made it into a nest. And you know what? I was telling Girl Code the other day that there's a bird out there in the sanctuary that is angry. I won't say angry, but very curious about the tabernacle. And I was thinking, because it flew over it, right? And then it flew near me, and it was tweeting very loud, And I was wondering what's going on. And I said, maybe it's wondering, why did I build a nest?
Maybe it's expecting the apocalypse now.
Maybe that was the sign. He could tell all the birds, oh my goodness, they're starting to build nests.
Well, I also wanted to promote Jen's Facebook and also her Instagram. Just wanted to do a little preview so that you guys can check it out. Super amazing information. We literally watch you every day.
Oh, wow. I was telling Girl Code about the reels. So you're on the Instagram, or as Paul calls it, Instagool, which I love that term.
Instagool.
Instagool, right? I have fun with those reels. I really do. I love the creative process of like creating those little reels.
Yeah. You're amazing at it. I should take some notes.
Fun. It's so much fun. I was trying to tell Girl Code, I was like, girl, sis, I'm so hooked on creating these meme reels. It's like making, because she and I love doing edited videos. So I haven't done one in a long time. So those little reels, if I do them every day or 2 times a day, it kind of takes care of that, like wanting to create the movies, the longer videos. So the little micro videos, I guess.
Here's a great view of the tabernacle. I love this video. Oh. I love the light that you put on the light.
Oh, the light. Yeah, the light.
I can't see it, Maddie.
Is it playing now? Oh,
is it playing now?
I from my view I can't see it right now.
Okay, bet. I found it. Hold on. Window. Found it. Share.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, here we are. The beautiful tabernacle.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
The light on the light.
The light on the light. Oh, that was fun to do that too, because I didn't know it was going to move like it did when I used that one little feature. Yeah. Reels is just fun. Yeah, look at that. I added more like pine straw, and I added different things because if you look at the tabernacle in the, how they do it for Sukkot or Feast of Tabernacles, they use like different, materials. And yeah, mine just has lots of pine straw and things like that. That's so cool. Look at that. I love it because I'm just going to keep it up all year. Yeah. The birds are okay. I told them, you're invited. If you want to hang out in there, just let it be your place. They can share it with them.
Girl Code's back. Yay.
Hi, yay.
It's hailing here.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I like, when weather changes like that. Yeah, because I don't see hail that often, but I'm always amazed at it.
All right. So
Oh, thank
we
you.
wanted to ask, uh, what led you to research Trump and become a part of his truthing journey?
Well, this is interesting because I was just talking to the girl code about this very thing. It's so interesting how things work out. We're just talking about President Trump earlier. So I told her, and I may have mentioned once or twice, my mother loves him, okay?
Okay.
And she was like on board when it was announced that he was going to run. She was on board with it from the very start. Now, I was not, okay? I was apolitical. So it wasn't that I was against him. I just wasn't into the politics, okay?
Mhm.
So when I heard he was going to run, I loved him on The Apprentice, and I mean I remember Trump, all through the '80s and all the fun little things about him. So I liked him as a personality, you could say, or celebrity. And I watched The Apprentice. I really loved The Apprentice. I thought it was a fascinating show. So when he ran, I was just thinking that's kind of interesting. I can't really see him as a president. So
Right.
that was kind of like a head scratcher. But then when I saw how people started acting so hateful against him, I was thinking, where is this coming from? It was so odd to me. I would go to work and the people were always complaining about him. And I thought, is he that bad? Like, what's really going on? And if I turned on the news, it was always something. I knew the narrative. Now, I didn't understand how bad the media was at that time. I just knew that it was very divided. But
Yeah.
I was more like, what's going on right now? Because they were talking about him as if he was the worst person on the planet. And
Yeah.
I just remembered him being like I saw him as a fun guy, funny,
Mm-hmm.
witty. I didn't see him as a bad guy at all. I thought, okay, he got some divorces. If you want to look bad about someone, I got a divorce. I can't look down on anybody. So
Right.
that was the thing I couldn't understand. And especially within my so-called the black community, as they want to call it, that was really bothersome to me because I remembered he was very much like loved by the black community.
Mm-hmm.
They even said things a lot of times like rappers would say, oh, they want to be the black Donald Trump,
Right.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I was confused. Why is it that now he's a racist?
Right.
So because I have this like sense of like wanting things to be fair, I think like I'm just so driven by this isn't fair, and I didn't like that in school if everybody's piling on one kid. Even if the kid was like a bad kid, I just didn't like to see people piling on someone.
I hear that.
And that's how I saw what was happening to Trump. I was like, they're piling on this man. And I don't remember people feeling this way about him. So I really sought to then understand, especially because my mother loved him as the president. And I watched her sisters attack her. I watched other people, her friends and different people attacking her. And I said, oh, wait a minute, because I'm very protective of her. And I'm like, don't come at her. Like, just because she likes him and, wants to talk about him on her social media, don't attack her.
Right.
And that was what really bothered me. And so, because of how our family treated my mom, then I said maybe it was out of spite. I became a Trump fan. I was like, oh, okay, so you want to attack my mother over this? Okay, I'm a Trump fan now. So
Yeah.
it was like standing in the way of all the darts, maybe.
Right.
So I didn't do it just to be spiteful. I literally started paying attention to him as a president. And that was the switch for me because I just saw him as a businessman, billionaire. They used to say he was a playboy in the 80s, and I saw him as that, the guy from The Apprentice, who's saying you're fired. He would do, you're fired. I loved all that, you know. But then to shift into you're the president now? Okay. So I looked into it and I said, wait a minute. He's doing some good stuff as the president. I was like, okay, so of course, and you know, I could justify, yeah, a businessman could make a great president. I love that he was an outsider. You know, the way that the narrative was going, I was like, no, I actually like this. I don't like everything to be predictable. Mm-hmm. Why not get someone who's really from the people, even though he's a billionaire? You know, he's not a politician. So it was refreshing. And then, like I say, when I started looking into some of the things he was doing, I said, no, he's actually doing things that make sense from a business standpoint. So why not? So I really did become.
Do you have any examples?
Well, I like that when, okay, for instance, he was talking about doing economic empowerment zones in the cities, that platinum plan. That was one thing that I thought was very good idea, because the cities they've been decimated by Democratic, you know, policies for so long. But if you invigorate the business sector of the cities, you know, that are just not doing well, that right there takes care of so many problems. Like it takes care of crime. Because if, okay, for instance, let's just go ahead and burn all the bridges. I'm going to bring up Kanye if it's okay.
It is. That is totally fine. I've already had some hate for posting Kanye, so let's go.
Excuse me. It's K now or something. K.
Yay, I don't remember. Yay. Okay, so yay. Okay, let's create an example.
Formerly known as Kanye.
Yes, got it. Formerly known as Kanye West. So yay is being, you know, canceled, fired, all this stuff. But at the same time, he wants to continue to do the things that he had been doing. He has a real eye for fashion, and he loves that kind of stuff. So, okay, take him for instance. He wants to do his own manufacturing and create his own streams of business and have it more independent. Okay, so say a Kanye takes, Chicago, maybe Chicago and some other city, and he brings manufacturing of his, if he wants to do shoes, and call them another name. I don't know, does he own that name? Or he wants to make fashion. Now, if you say, look at a city like Chicago or Philadelphia is another example where I'm from. Ye puts a factory, say right in the downtown, not in the suburbs, but in the economic zone of the platinum plan. So that would be right, say where you see all the zombies that are walking around, Kensington. Say he put a factory in Kensington and you see the zombies walking all around because you have the fentanyl and the whole thing, the tents and everything, right? If you bring a factory and now you have jobs, literally people that live in the area don't even have to have a car to get a job. They can walk to work. Imagine the various people applying for work, and you have to live in, I would say, I don't know the details of the platinum plan, but I would make it so you have to live in square mile of that area, right? You can't be someone who's going to live in another area and go back and take your economics back where you live, but you live in that community. So now people are getting hired at Ye's manufacturing plant. So they're making a wonderful wage. Who has time to do crime? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying.
When
I look at what President Trump proposes as a businessman, this makes sense. And I've never heard any politician come up with this is a tangible way to help a lot of social ills. Right there.
I never heard a politician say deep state. I never heard a politician say swamp. I never heard. And honestly, I have to give Fall of the Cabal credit for waking me up to all of it.
Oh yeah. That was powerful. 2020 was such a amazing time that we had time. And that's what we didn't have before. Time to
Mhm.
look into things and to think about things.
Right. Yeah, it was this huge absorbing information year for
Absolutely.
me. The
Good.
downloads were real.
They were. They really were. And have you noticed that they're starting back up again, like in a different way, it seems?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
A more detached way, I feel. Because, like, normally I take it super, super, super hard.
Uh-huh.
But this past week or so, I've been
Mhm.
chilling.
Good. That's very good. Yeah.
But so we wanted to promote you that you're a very, very, very supported digital white light warrior on this realm. And we just wanted to know, like, what are your golden rules about being a digital warrior? Like, are there certain guidelines that you possess? Like, are there certain rules that you follow for yourself and stuff like that?
Well, that's a good question. And I'll tell you this, and I did get this from Prime Minister, when he invited us to come out on the digital battlefield and, take up arms of truth and have more voices, out here. I asked him, well, what do you suggest in terms of being successful at it? And he simply told me this. He said, be yourself.
Oh, snap.
Just be yourself. Okay. And I'll never forget that because it was permission to be yourself. And I think that's what a lot of us need, to have permission to be ourselves. And
I
it's
agree.
not that we have to get it validated from an outside source, but we have to give ourselves permission to just be ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
not try to apologize for who you are. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying?
Yes. I'm starting that journey. Starting all of this, all of my accounts and YouTube and everything like that. I've been working on this for over 5 to 10 years, like
Wow.
actually.
Really?
But now I've actually gotten to the point of confidence of to even try this.
Awesome.
So thank you for giving me that permission of
You're
being
welcome.
myself and
That's
not being scared, because I was scared. I
Mhm.
was scared prior to all of the things that I've learned about the government and everything like that. And
Mhm.
now I'm getting way more comfortable. So
That's
thank you
good.
for
You're welcome.
inspiring.
And we just need to make sure we do that for each other, because the thing about broadcasting or getting onto the socials is that the video part of it, this part of it, it can be very intimidating. I was fortunate that I already had a little channel when Prime Minister invited us out. I was like, well, I already have a channel, so I don't have to set it up. My channel was mainly like travel videos. When we would go on trips, I love putting videos together. So I'm like putting all these travel videos. Just your family would want to watch it,
Exactly.
And I had wanted to become a blogger at some point. Like, I was looking into learning blogging.
Mm-hmm.
So the man who was teaching the blogging, he said this, he challenged us all. He said, if you want to become a good speaker and you want to especially know how to speak on video, you make a video every day for 30 days, he said. Just simple. Make a video every day for 30 days. And it doesn't have to be any length of time or subject. He said, just talk about whatever. Talk about whatever you want. What you ate today. And in 30 days of doing that every day, you will see such growth in yourself. And I did it. I took the challenge, and
Oh,
he had
cool.
us held, being held accountable, that's a big thing. and I did the videos every day, at the end of that 30 days, I felt like, wow, I could do this. I'm not scared. Especially if you can talk to these cameras. They say that's harder to talk to a camera to do a video than it is to talk to a audience of people in person. So if you can master talking to cameras and still being yourself, you are already way ahead of, because this is where we are, as you know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't do this. They don't want to do it. It's scary. It's a lot of reasons they don't do it.
Go out of the comfort zone to have an experience.
Yes, there you are. And when you do it, you'll get better and more confident at it. And we need people to just give us this great, content and be real people. We're tired of the stuff we've been given.
Robots. Do this, go there, buy this. And you're like, no.
That's right. I'm free.
How about let's have tea time, hang out. Have mind-blowing conversations.
And you can connect with people everywhere. Time and distance doesn't stop this. So that's what's really nice about it.
That is so cool.
And the 30 days applies to life, yeah?
It does. It really does.
Yes.
Any habit we want to change.
Yeah.
Exactly. Also, with that, I also saw a video on an exercise like that, and you can take notes on how you want to even shift your voice, or the phrases you don't want to say anymore, or the way that you look or the way that you dress. You can take notes on everything that you want to change and apply it.
I love it. That's so nice. That was something that I wanted to change, the saying a lot.
Yep. Same. Me too.
Don't beat yourself up over it. The more you do it, you can find a way to have that pregnant pause. Like, a lot of times we think, oh, every minute has to be filled with words. If you just have natural rhythm of a conversation, if we're sitting at a cafe, we're not having to fill every minute with words. So exactly. I think it's nice to lean into those moments of, okay, I don't have anything to say right now. Sometimes I just sit there and say, I'm just going to read what you guys are talking about, and you learn to just do that and just be comfortable, like you're talking to people at a coffee shop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. So, being a digital warrior and a part of the Truther algorithm, what is it like to be a leader in this movement? And what are your most interesting and exciting experiences thus so far?
Well, you challenged me there. You got me. Now, I'm going to tell you honestly, I'm someone who's shied away from leader, the title of leader. I am like, okay, what is the movie where she's the bride who always runs before getting married? What is that called?
Literally running bride?
Runaway. Yeah.
That's how I treat leadership. I'm the runaway leader.
Yep.
Okay. I have not been able to wear that title comfortably. And that's part of the work that I'm doing, the mindset work, to be comfortable with that. Because
Jen, I gotta say, I just have to intervene there, because Karen Scott had shared a dream she had, where we were all being taken along up steps, up a staircase, and you were the one, whether it was divine guidance, whether it was a plan, whatever it was God working through you to pick us up and bring us along where, a whole world of people felt they were brought along to a point and kind of left, abandoned a bit, and you picked us all up. And so I had a personal experience when Karen shared that dream about you. I could see that I had that vision, or probably some type of dream of the same at that time, so years ago. And you are a leader, so you better step right into that.
Yeah, because there are a lot of lessons that we've seen people that run away from it, like, it's not a good idea. So I realized that. And just to tell you a funny story of how much I have shirked that kind of thing is I've never wanted to be like the the charge nurse or anything. I never wanted to be like a supervisor or anything like that. I would always say, no, I
Well,
just want to
charge
work my
nurses are
hours.
Nazis.
Right. I was like, no, I don't want to be that. Because they'll always ask you, what are your plans? Do you want to move it? I'm like, no, I just want to come here, want to be a team player, just go home. That's all. And so people don't understand why you say things like that, right? And one day at a hospital out in Pasadena, okay, I was getting a job on the weekend shift. I worked 2 jobs. So the guy that was interviewing me, I interviewed with 2 different people, and they were really nice. I had to go for a couple of interviews, and they did this. They said, we would like to cross train you, because I thought I was just working like a staff nurse. That's what I applied for. They said, would you consider like a managed training for our supervisor position on the weekend? We really need somebody. And I said, actually, I just want to do like the staff nurse. And they said, would you consider just cross training the position just in case we need somebody who knows it? And I was like, okay, I kind of reluctantly, okay. After I trained for the position, they put me on the schedule as the supervisor. And I was like, how did you all just do this? Like, and they were like, Dad, you did so well in the training. You should just come on. We got shifts, right? And I was like, oh my God. They literally tricked me into becoming the supervisor.
They needed one that badly.
And I'm still like friends on Facebook with a lot of the people. One thing about they would come into the office and, they would just like vent to me. I was like, yeah, come on in. And I never wanted to get like, I'm the one that I've never fired anybody. Okay. So that's one of the things I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to fire
Libras don't
right,
want to be bosses.
Thing, like, I can't, like, I'm thinking like, I'm taking somebody's like ability to take care of their family. I'm like, I can't fire anybody. No, you guys have to fire people because I'm not doing that part of it. No, literally. Yep, I'm not doing it. And then another thing I shirked away from, I did not want to do in this leadership. I was like, okay, look, I don't want to fire people, and I do not want to put people on a 51-50 hold. So that was something like in Los Angeles, it's a big thing to, be given that sort of authority. I was like, nope, because no. No.
So, being a digital warrior, like, what kind of experiences do you have, like, having that title, a digital warrior? Like, how would you define that?
Well, it's a fun title when we first took that on, digital warrior. What it is that I see now is the war that we are fighting, and Girl Code even said, that this digital type of mental information war, we had no idea how intense this is, the propaganda that's out there and how powerful it has its, grip on the minds and, of people. So being able to voice a different narrative, just to challenge it with information that we research, it's powerful because it's something that anybody can do. You don't have to have qualifications. You don't have to go to school for this. This is just you being yourself and just adding to the mosaic of truth, of just challenging the norm, things that should not have been made normal, but just to say, hey, everybody. And when I say challenge, it's like, shouldn't we rethink this? Maybe, like, we might be wrong here. We could change this. All right. It's okay to change.
Right.
Like to reconsider, repent. You know, the whole issue of repenting is to change your mind about it. And that's all. Like, I think that's what we've tried to be with our communities, our friend groups, family. You know, in 2020, we wanted to just say, hey, everybody, maybe we shouldn't freak out. How about that? It's like, don't tell us not to freak out. And I was like, oh,
Ree.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was like that it was bad not to be scared.
Right.
Yeah. So
we're in an epidemic. I'm like,
yeah, it was like, hey, everybody, how about we think about this? Maybe this isn't the right way to go. Maybe we could just talk about it. Maybe no, no, they didn't want to talk about it.
Fear attacked my friends and my family.
Oh yeah,
and how they would be so impulsive. It was interesting to watch, definitely. Yeah. And I did have my moments, but I have fears about other things, not necessarily like it's more of am I doing this correctly, or how can I be a better person? Not what they're trying to make me scared of.
Right.
I don't follow your fear game. I don't watch this show. Like, I'm sorry.
No, we watch Jen Eason instead and get the truth over mainstream media.
That's so funny that, you know, that was good that we had options, because I always like a diverse group of thought, you know, leaders or thought, you know, just anybody, just if they can articulate what they're thinking, they're just being a real person and they're trying. I mean, that's the main thing. We get it wrong. It's not like we know everything. It's just the people know when you sincerely want to know. You want to be a scholar. You want the truth. Mm-hmm. And you want things to be fair, mainly. You just want just fairness, open society. And so many people want that also. And that's when you realize how important it is to be that person, to get out here and do this, because this was scary to jump off and do, because you think of, wow, I realized after a while, I was like, okay, I am truly going to become unemployable at this point, right? I'm going to lean into it and embrace that I am unemployable.
I'm right on the edge. I'm right.
Oh, look at
Kitty! I keep stepping in and out like I can do this. I do it for like 8 or 9 months, and then I'm like, I can't do this.
No, I did that too. I mean, I had my little fun. Look at the kitty. Oh, how cute.
Dancer. He just survived a rattlesnake bite.
Whoa. Are you serious?
Big one.
Really? Wow.
He got
bitten. What did you do? Like, what was the first thing you do? Like, did you rush? Do you have anti-venom or what?
Well,
we couldn't figure out what actually happened at first. So we put peppermint tea bag over the wounds and the swelling, and he healed on his own. This cat's been picked up by 3 different coyote pickups in this forest land up here, and he's no longer an outdoor cat. He was an outdoor cat that adopted us, so now he's been indoors for 3 years with a harness that he walks on outside.
That's so cute. What a nice story. Like, that's what I've loved about like what happened. A lot of I know there were sad animal stories, but there were a lot of animals that found homes during that time. And that's beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
Molly. That's Molly Moose over there.
Molly Moose. Oh,
And
so
they're
nice
buds.
to see you, Molly Moose.
So as a digital warrior, do you have any advice for our Truth of Just Us family in order to successfully keep going?
Wow. From what I've learned, okay, since you have a clean slate, right? I would say to be very wise in terms of the algorithms, avoiding any censorship. I would just tell anybody starting out, try to avoid censorship as you're growing your channel. You don't want to like come out and just like hit them with damn, because then you'll get shadow banned and things like that. They'll start to hide you. But
9/11 wasn't the way to start coming out of the
oh,
gate
you've
then,
already
huh?
done. Okay, welcome, right?
Actually,
Welcome. You're
I
already
think it is.
you're off to a great start. I've got to watch it. Okay, I've got to catch up. Okay, I'll tell you this. Okay, you've already done. Listen, my first video on my channel is actually about AIDS, HIV. Actually, Girl Code is on that.
Oh, so
And then vaccines. And then
Yeah,
vaccines
I
with
didn't
kids.
even
Oh,
follow my
oh,
own
oh,
advice.
oh, 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 oh. I said
yes.
it.
Yeah, I didn't follow my own advice. Okay, but since you already started with 9/11, then go ahead and just jump right into the deep. I like how you do it. So it's like the water is cold and deep, but I'm jumping right in. I'm not gonna put my toe in. I'm
Wim
gonna
Hof exercises, and then just I'm a Ram. I'm an Aries, so
Oh,
that's
okay.
kind of how I
Sorry,
do
I like it.
things.
Take it by the horns, right?
Not
Well,
on purpose. Just
I
kidding.
love it, actually. I'm like, okay, you've already baptized yourself with fire. So then I would say this, just keep going then. Just keep going in that direction.
And shout out to Girl Code. We'd like you next, hunting you down, Girl Code. And we'd love
Oh,
Jen back,
yes.
wouldn't we, Maddie? Love Jen back.
Absolutely.
Thank you
That would
so
be
much, Jen.
fabulous. Yes. Yeah. So just again, I go back to that original advice that I received is to be yourself and go by the leading that you have. Sometimes you may want to, cover a certain subject, but you may change. You can always change your mind, you don't have to stay stuck in stone. Make it so it's enjoyable, and it's what you're interested in also, because I think if it's something you're interested in, you will transmit it in that way, so you don't have to be something that you're not.
Absolutely, yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. Well, thank you so much, Jen Eason, for hanging out with us today.
You're welcome.
That was the end of our questionnaire. I'm just gonna play your little intro that I made for us.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. This has been so nice.
Thank you, Madcraft and Jen. Blessings and love all.
Follow Jen on all socials. Follow us, subscribe, like, love, peace, harmony. Love you guys.
Very good. Love it. Beautiful.
Thank you. And
Oh, wow.
your socials.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Check her out. She's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'm going to end the broadcast now. I hope you guys have a nice night.
Thank you. Take care. Bye, everybody.